Okay, I'm here with Yogi. Yogi is a 9-month-old. He's a pom mix or just pom? He's a pom. And I have a whole bunch of treats in my hand. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can how you can help a dog that doesn't like being groomed enjoy the experience. Now, to do this, I'm going to do something called a conditioned emotional response, or a CER. Now, in order to do this, you need a really high-value training treat, something the dog really likes. Now, what he really doesn't like is he doesn't like the brush. We'll probably pull this out and see it kind of moves away from it. So he's saying, I don't like that thing. Now, I've had clients where they're like, well, they hold the dog down and still do it. Well, and then the dog starts biting them. They're like, why is he biting me? Because he's saying, I really don't like that, and you're not listening to me. So what I want to do is I want him to actually have a positive association with this. So I'm going to have him come over here first. Sit. Sit. Doesn't necessarily have to sit, just easier for the shot. So what I do is I have a bunch of treats in my hand, and I've got this. And what I'm going to do is I put them both behind my back, and I go like this. He looks at it, I take it away, and give him a treat. Really simple. What we should see is after a couple of treats, he's going to touch this with his nose. See, he leaned in towards it a little bit there. He didn't look at it, so he didn't get the treat. There you go. And sometimes you have to switch hands. Touch it with his nose. Now at this point, he has to touch it with his nose in order for him to get the treat. There you go. Now I'm going to move a little bit faster in this video than you normally would. So when you're doing this, it might be 10, 15 treats before he starts touching with his nose. And this is why you don't want to move too fast, because he's just saying, I'm kind of done with this. Now it is sunny out here. There we go. All right, so let's do this again. So clearly I moved a little bit fast. So when you're doing this, just plan on the first stage that you're doing it, all you have to do is look at it, it goes away. So when you're doing it, I want your arms akimbo like this. So you show him it, and then when he looks at it, it goes away, and then he gets the treat. So after you do this a while, the dog will start touching leaning forward, then he'll start touching with his nose. Now we have all the bristles on this side, and we have nothing on this side. So the next stage, come here, buddy. Is I want to get him used to being brushed and the action of being brushed. Now what I can do is create a little bit of a positive association. So what I do is I show him the brush, and he gets the treat. Show him the brush, gets the treat. Show him the brush. Now I'm going to start moving the brush towards his backside. And when I touch him, see how he's not recoiling, because I'm proving to him that it's not touching, and then after the movement, he gets a treat. So now I can touch him, and he gets the treat. Now his guardian is probably thinking to herself, but it's only here that he gets really reactive, but we have to start somewhere. So now I have a little bit of a brush, but I'm using the back side, not the comb side. So you want to get to the point where you can go, and the brush stroke indicates I'm about to get a treat. Sorry, I'm sweating, it's about 90 degrees out here. Now, first what we're going to do is we're going to do his back, and then he gets the treat. And then his side, and he gets the treat. And if you see that, he'll snap his head around like that, that means we're probably moving a little bit fast. I'm going to move faster in this video than you will, because we want to show you all the steps. Now, exercising him beforehand, like I mentioned to you off camera, will really help. So, come here, buddy. I'm offering the treats, he can come get them. He's choosing not to. He's a little bit willful. Probably because his guardian does a lot of things for him. So now, this is the area that he didn't like, but you see, because he has the presence of the treats. Now I'm doing these at the same time, and I usually do this at first the same time. I'm kind of holding onto the treat, just getting used to it. But again, we're not using the back side of the brush. Here, buddy. So we want him just getting used to this. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm doing it at the same time. I do that maybe for the really difficult stages where like I start chewing it, then I do this to create a positive association. But eventually I only do that a couple times. Then what I want to do is go like this, then he gets the treat. But you see, that's why I do it the way that I do it, is I do it in concert, so he gets used to this first, and you keep on doing it until he doesn't want to move away. All right, so once you've gotten to the point where you can touch him anywhere with the backside of the comb, he's feeling pretty comfortable about it. The next stage is I would do it with the brush and then the comb and all the other tools that you have. Now we have trimmers there in the background. Now the power is not working, but that's okay. We don't actually have to have them. What we need to do is we need to create a positive or a classically conditioned response to those trimmers. Now we just think of the trimmers, I'm trimming it, this one thing. There's actually a whole bunch of little things. So the first thing I would do is I would have the trimmers in this hand, or maybe have your better half over there. No, I just, when you're doing this way. So what I would do is, and I do this a little bit different, this is counter conditioning, and I do it this way on purpose. So I would give him a treat, and then your better half would turn, I just don't want to say his name on camera, it would turn it on for only a second. So he hears the treat, bzzz, and treat goes off, and it goes off. And so now we got a whole bunch of crumbs for you. Will you eat the crumbs? There we go. I'm a little dog, I'll eat the crumbs. So at first what we do is we give him a treat and then he hears the trimmers. Now if he gets up and runs away from the trimmer sound, that's pretty hard, that's a hard stimulus. So I might actually have the other person in another room or pretty far away. So I want him to basically, I do this the first couple times, so I give him a treat, zzz, while he's chewing it. And as soon as he gets done chewing it, we turn the clippers off. So this is something you're gonna do a whole bunch of times until you get to the point, there you go buddy, or actually you're going to do this about 5 to 10 times. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go zzz, and then give him the treat. Zzz. Okay. Zzz. So he's feisty now. So the idea, if he's running away from it, he's saying I'm fearful of it. So what we want to do is create a sound. That sound is now associated as an indicator I'm about to get a treat. So again, we have whatever distance we need to have where he won't run away. So that the distance lowers the intensity of the volume, essentially, of the buzzing sound. So basically, you want to keep doing that. Gradually get to the point where you can have the dog right here and bzzz, and he's like looking at you like, who's hooking me up with a treat? So at first it's just you give him the treat, bzzz, so it's only on for about a second. And you do that for about, like I said, the first 5 or 10 treats. Then what you do is you turn it on 1 second and turn it off, then give him the treat. And after you do that, and once you get to the point where, again, the trimmer's far away, and eventually when you get to the point where you can turn the trimmer on here and then give him a treat and he doesn't move away from the trimmer, then you want to start elongating. So I go, instead of 1 second, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, I turn it off and give it to him. And then 8 seconds, and you gradually, and you got to go at his pace, but you keep on going until eventually the trimmer sound, his tail's wagging, he's happy, he likes that sound because it's not associated with trimming him, it's associated with him getting a treat. So that's the first stage for the trimmers, is getting used to the sound of the trimmers. Now, there's also a vibration for the trimmers. We're going to use kind of a trick that we use with the brush. So the trimmers have the teeth. That's the part he doesn't like, but it also vibrates. So what we're going to do at the second stage, now that he's conditioned to the sound and he's no longer fearful of the sound, if the dog is here, I'm going to actually, let me see, we'll use this as the dog. So let's say this is the dog's head. So basically what I'm going to do, and these are the trimmers, is I'm going to do the same principle. I'm going to give him a treat, and while the treat is on, I'm going to turn the trimmers on and just touch the back of him, but not with the blades, maybe with the back side of it. So he feels the vibration of the trimmers, which is a strong sensation, but he doesn't actually have anything trimmed. And at first it's just going to be 1 second. So I give him the treat, and so it's only on for half a second. And then we're gradually going to start elongating that. And if he starts to move away, then you might have to go back to that sound and getting used to the sound over and over. Or you might actually hold it and touch him with your elbow so he can feel it through your elbow. So again, this is a way of lessening the intensity of it. But eventually you should be able to get to the point where, and again, just like the other stage, you can give him a treat, zzz, treat, zzz, treat, zzz, then you're gonna go zzz, treat, zzz, treat, zzz, treat. So he's getting the vibrations are coming first, then he's getting a treat after. And it's really important that you make that transition. I only give the treat the first couple times to keep the dog from running away, but then I want the trimmer or the vibration of the trimmer to be the indicator I'm about to get a treat. So the idea is now I'm going like this, and at first it's just on the small of his back or on his hip or wherever he's comfortable for. Then you start actually kind of almost like grooming him, but with the back side of it. The trimmers are up here, using the back side just to get him used to the vibrations. And so you do a stroke, and then he gets a treat. a stroke, and he gets a treat. So he's getting a lot of treats when you're doing this. You can use kibble if he likes the kibble, but I would probably recommend using it because he has a strong aversion to this. So now we've done the site of the brushes, the comb, the site, and I would do the same thing with that thing. Pull it out and take it away. So you're going to do that with all of the objects just to get him used to it until eventually he'll touch his nose to it. This might take you 3 or 4 or 5 practice sessions with each one, and that's fine. But go at his pace. Don't go at your pace. If you get greedy, you'll undo all the stuff that we're talking about. So eventually, so now we've gotten him used to the vibration or the side of it. And then for that one, we did the vibrations. For this one, we're actually going to use the teeth. What I would do is, again, I would just touch it on his, if this is the dog, I would just touch his back and then give him the treat. Don't brush, because that gets the tangled hairs and they feel it pulling out and they don't like that. So just touch, treat, touch, treat, touch, treat. After 5 times, or little comb, treat, little comb, treat. And eventually it's longer comb, and then after each stroke, he gets a treat. Now, after you practice with that, you might be able to go, then he gets a treat, or 3 times, and then he gets a treat. But go very gentle so that he doesn't have those pulled hairs. We don't want to make it anything negative about it. So, and eventually with this one, you'll be able to go ahead and brush him. And at first you're doing his body, you're not doing it up here. But you're gradually gonna, at first you're doing it in here, then you're doing it up here, then you're doing it up here, and you're gonna work your way up there. And so you have to be very careful you don't push for too much criteria too fast, which everybody does. If you go slowly, you'll eventually get here and he won't even notice the difference. He's like, oh, I love it, come on, go right here and then give me a treat. So for the trimmers, same sort of principle. So we've got him associated with the side of the trimmers, the sound of the trimmers, the vibration of the trimmers. Now we're ready to start actually trimming. And we're going to start as far away from his chest area or his neck as possible. So just go last little part and zit, treat, zit, treat, zit. And eventually you'll get to the point, and this is, again, don't try to groom him at once. What I'd like this to be is an activity that you do about 3 or 4 times a day where you're not actually grooming him. You're just getting him used to all these different sensations and sights and sounds and smells. It might take you 2 weeks to actually give him a full grooming at first. As you practice this, eventually you'll be able to just go ahead and do the whole thing, and he's going to be fine with it. All right, come here. Little Yogi, I have to have you here to sign off. Sit. Sit. This is my buddy Yogi, and these are tips you can use if you have a dog that's fearful of a brush, comb, or the trimmers.